The industrial manufacturing of such kids into tragedy, purposely because of his selfish adult desires. So that brings us neatly to our next headline, written by our first guest tonight, titled "Spanish Actress Creates Baby with Dead Son's Sperm, Sparking Surrogacy Controversy." Joining us now to discuss her piece is Evie Solheim, a writer for Evie Magazine. Evie, thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Great. So tell us, who is this Spanish actress and how is she able to use the sperm of her 27-year-old deceased son, Alice, who died of cancer, in order to have her granddaughter, Anita, years later?
Right. Well, I'm still wondering this myself. And so for American viewers who are just tuning in and they hear about a Spanish actress named Ana Obregón creating her own grandchild years after her child has died, they're wondering, what does this have to do with me? Well, she was able to do this in the US. Spain, actually, we think of European countries as being more progressive in many ways, but Spain actually doesn't allow any forms of gestational surrogacy. So this baby was born in Florida because different states in the US are much more friendly to this kind of thing, although most of us could never imagine creating a child with the knowledge they will never know their father.
And also talk to us, your article talks about the firestorm that has erupted in Spain over this controversy, as you were saying that, she went through America in order to have this happen. I believe her son stored his sperm in New York, and then who even knows who the egg donor is, the biological mother, and then who even knows who was the woman who the embryo, the child, was then implanted in and then, loved and cared for in the womb for 9 months until the birth. So there's a lot of different women whose bodies and whose, body parts are being commodified here as well. But talk to us about some of the eruption that's happened in Spain ever since.
Correct. Well, they're facing down an election, so it could even be that this is a hot button issue for an election, a national election, which feels really foreign to anyone in the US, where things are more state-based with this kind of thing. But it's truly the ruling party of Spain was not holding back, responding to what this popular actress did. They were calling it exploitation of women. They were saying it's violence against women, and that's why there's no gestational surrogacy in the country. So it's truly, it's unclear why she of her own accord revealed that this is her grandchild that she adopted, but it's definitely making ripples.
That it is, and as we were talking about earlier, that children have rights, and it seems like these days we pretend that they don't exist whatsoever. But also, as you mentioned, the exploitation of women, the women who are bought and sold in this process as well. In America, as you were saying, especially in California, some states are very, very unregulated in the sense where women are selling their eggs for money to get through college, and then other women are saying, yeah, I'll have the child and I'll be the surrogate for the child conceived through IVF. But oftentimes these are women who are struggling, women who are in poverty. More and more, I talked to Emma Waters from the Heritage Foundation and others, talk about how Chinese elites are actually coming to America to use our poor and vulnerable women for this. And now same thing, it seems a Spanish actress has done that. So talk to us about the lack of regulation, especially in states like California.
Totally. And even, what you're talking about brings to mind a recent article in the Free Press talking about these are poor women gestating babies for people who are upper class, and just even the weird optics of that. But so it's really interesting that it's really state by state. And even the abortion issue does extremely play into this, even though we think of them in separate silos. In a state that might in some ways be friendly to surrogacy, like Florida, where this Spanish actress, that child she created was born, Florida now is leaning more in a pro-life direction. And so any surrogacy agencies, people involved in that industry are pulling out. And so it's really interesting that all of these things have a ripple effect, and people are starting to realize, at least in an example as extreme as creating a grandchild when death means that you wouldn't have a grandchild. Even examples this extreme are making people start to think and connect the dots and kind of understand that maybe these euphemisms or, just these stories that pull at your heartstrings, there's something more behind that.